Here we have a Marshall JVM 205C, and the customer says it's excessively noisy on the drive channel, the gain channel. In some preliminary tests, he's got more issues than that. Let me demonstrate a few things. All that seems fine, right? If I go to the other master, it almost cuts out, and a minute ago it was cutting in and out dramatically. There it is. That really sounds like a solder joint to me. Let's try some of the other functions of this first clean crunch channel. When I first tested it, as soon as I touched the chassis, it was cutting out, and I thought it was this gain pot here, but it's actually the channel master 1 that's cutting out there. So, maybe I spoke too soon. Yeah, cut out again. So it's more likely a bad solder joint than a bad pot. Let's try the overdrive channel, which is the one he was saying was really noisy. So there was, when I was on channel master 1, there was, in addition to cutting in and out, there was squeal at this gain. Something was losing a reference to the ground. Hopefully that didn't all just clip the hell out of the lav mic. That all sounds pretty healthy. I imagine if we have one bad solder joint, we have more than one. I'd really assumed that, okay, he's probably got a bad tube, easy peasy, but we need to go into this. So let me power it off. And that's not a good sign. It should not make that sound when powering it off. Anyway, let's go in here and see what we see. I got the little don't burn your hands metal mesh back plate. That's so many amps today have. And this plastic grommet is supposed to be inserted in this. It's come loose. I'll fix that. Connects to the 16 ohm. Really not a fan of this trend where you can't easily just pull the speaker out of the little connection. Because I don't want to hang this piece of metal off of that. But the gap here is a little too narrow to force that cable through. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's screwed on the inside. Well, let me rest it on the bench temporarily. Let's see if these have cooled down. No. All right. See, I want to release this and pull it out, but I don't want to bang these tubes on this rear panel, but at the same time, I don't want to have to remove this rear panel if we don't have to. We go all high tech. And at the same time, I will examine each of the EL34s visually. The logo has darkened a little bit here on the Electro-Harmonics. but I don't see any discoloration of the plate. Maybe they used a dark green. It's just kind of gone a little bit grayish brown over time. Yeah, it's green. All right, now I can pull this out and not have to worry about those tubes shattering on this. All right, I've looked through all this. Wonderful construction. This amp had a sticker on the back. I just removed it because it's ugly when people put their service stickers over print. They should have put it on one of the ends of the chassis or something where they weren't covering up graphics. But anyway, I removed it, but this amp was serviced about a year ago in town by someone else. And looking through, I don't see anything that's been changed. So maybe they just changed the tubes and biased it. This front board here on this series is just held in place by these metal snap-ons, and they are not tight. And that makes a big difference in the reliability. But I don't think that would necessarily affect that volume pot. And that volume pot is, I believe, this one right here. So these four solder joints and these two lugs. I don't see anything wrong with those solder joints. So it may be a bad master volume pot. Let me get set up to test that theory, because once I have it up and running, I can press on the board here and see if there's any place over here that gets any flex. If there's a place where the board flexes or there is a bad solder joint, even though it looks okay, because these are really small, but this was just physically loose because these metal standoffs weren't tight, like you saw a minute ago, that could explain it. But I do suspect we have a bad pot. And that same flex thing could be causing intermittent woes in the overdrive channel, even though we did not experience them ourselves. Let me set up a test rig and see where we're at. All right, the first thing I notice is if I have the master volume on the one that's defective, we have noise. If I have it on the other one, everything's quiet. Then I go to the first one, even at the same volume, there's hiss. So master volume 2, much quieter. Master volume 1, a little hissier. Let's press on that board and see if we can get it to mess up. All right, yeah. So, did you hear that? There's little cutouts, right, if I tap in this area, right around that volume pot. So let me get in there really close and really eyeball all those little solder joints. We could have a bad one that's just not visible easily because those are really tiny. But that's definitely the most likely problem area. So let me see what I find. All right, I did not see any joints that were bad or even solder starved. I saw some that were maybe did not quite have as much as I liked. So I reflowed maybe 6 to 10, I didn't count, in this general area and a couple over at the other end. But what I think the problem might have been, and likely was, most of these metal standoffs are just mechanical support. But this one here has a trace going to it, probably through a capacitor there, and then that's a ground reference to chassis through a capacitor. Yeah, I mean, I saw the capacitor on the other side. That was loose. That was one of the ones that was very, very loose and intermittent. So if this was intermittently referencing chassis, i.e. ground, as it was vibrated, and something about the circuit just didn't like that, especially on that master, that could be the problem. I need to test this at higher volume to make sure that mechanical vibration doesn't change anything. All right. That did not do the trick, and it is right there when I press in the area where that master volume pot is. So I think we have a bad master volume pot. That's not uncommon. Probably in the next video, when you see me take this one out and put the new one in, you'll see what a truly high quality little piece of plastic nothing it is. For right now, let's go to the other master volume and make sure it doesn't have any issues. right, so it's just the one bad master volume pot. And due to the way the 205C and other JVMs work, you can program the whole thing with MIDI. And you can program, overdrive channel 2 to be assigned to master volume 1 and overdrive channel 3 to be assigned to master volume 2. And if he had that messed up master volume mapped to his overdrive channels and it was cutting in and out and had all that static, that would explain why he thought it was really noisy just on that channel. Let me test that. Don't think we have any problems with that. Let me tap on some tubes. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other problem with this amp, and these sound pretty dang good. Are they ultra reliable? No, but they sound really good for a lot of versatile sounds. Look for them in the Amp Center 2000 video. And when this amp is fixed, I'll do a real playing video so you can hear it without the master volumes criminally low and with a better mic than this little lav mic. So stay tuned. I think the owner is going to be very happy. One of the nice things about this series is because this whole board does just pop off. It's not screwed or anything complicated. I can pull this board in just like 2 minutes, and then changing out that one pot. It's not a big deal, and the replacement pot is cheap. So good news all around.